We've got net zero that is just bloody driving everything to destruction. And the underlying cause of just about every problem that we've got in this country is net zero driven. I think we're 3 or 4 years more advanced on the destruction in the cycles that I've been following than anything else that I could think of. We're all starting to see it. We're starting to see the wealth being eroded. We're starting to see coming after every ounce of your wealth. We've started to see them making it harder to leave in some aspects. The world just ekes out till it basically stops and dies. So that's where we're at. And if we start to break down what I'm seeing and what other people that I'm dealing with are seeing is we are really seeing the advanced end of Western civilization. The immigration factor is the only thing driving growth in Australia. That if you took immigration out, the Australian economy will grind to such a halt that it probably wouldn't restart. Yeah, they'll be great Uber drivers. They'll be great people filling in those type of roles, but they're not going to be brain surgeons. Immigration, massive warning sign. The beacon's going off so fast, it's not funny, right? Now, the major corporation doesn't care because it's actually going to move those positions overseas or it's going to streamline with technology, right? So that is what is going to kill future job growth for people that thought they were going to get a nice cushy job at a bank. Well, they're not, because it's now in the Philippines, or it's now in Europe, in Eastern Europe somewhere, or it's gone to the US. Government is now the largest employer. The New South Wales government, I think 3 or 4 months ago, come out and said it was thankful that it could be the size it was, and it celebrated the fact that it was the largest government in the Southern Hemisphere. Australia's overall economy is 30% government jobs, direct and indirect. Red, blue, pink, yellow, brown, black, stripy coloured red tape. We have more red tape now than we've ever had. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to an impost on you. The tax rate at the moment and the tax impost on us is driving cost of living. So the tax impost now is making everything more expensive, and that is being driven by net zero policies to make things more expensive to reduce and that. But what it's doing is just shutting down the economy. Most council planners basically come from the point of view that I will build the city that I want with your money. I can't buy land to build, because when I find something, it's too expensive because the person that bought it before me, paid too much. It is just unbelievable that we've got people in power that have no comprehension of what they are doing and how it's interacting and really, really causing major drama. We will see homelessness and poverty driven into this economy that is way above pretty much anything you'll see in the third world if it doesn't change. People won't be able to afford housing. So the cost of government is now at such an impost and a major. It's not a red flag anymore. It's one of those warning bells that you see at power stations or in factories. That's just screaming, right? So businesses that are in the wants world, as I say, will start to struggle. Businesses in the needs world will struggle, but they'll bumble along because they're needed. Food suppliers, mechanics, plumbers, electricians, and so forth and so on. we'll start seeing a black market economy really take hold. They've pushed the cost of cigarettes so high that now organized crime has been able to jump in and take over. More people die of cold than they do of heat and that. So it's going to be really, really interesting of how the deck sort of shuffles around and how things happen over the next few years. God rest his soul. Charlie Kirk was assassinated in the US. That has definitively drawn a line between basically pro-government people and pro-freedom people. We're in a thing versus basically communism versus freedom, or good versus evil, and it's as plain as that. So mass immigration is cultural change. It's the government's way of forcing cultural change to a way that they believe is in their best interest. Well, we need a cultural change the other way around. We need reality change, basically. It's starting to reinforce that we're no longer in a left versus right. We are in a good versus evil, or some sort of culture revolution or change. Politicians, in my mind, pretty much all of them, including most of the ones in the Freedom Party movements, are on the wrong side. Right? They're more in it for themselves than they are in it for the nation. The Senate will be a shit fight, but then 2031, which is right in the middle of that 3032, will be a rising of whatever a new political and governance party will emerge in Australia. Before then, though, they will have a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. There'll be a lot of uprising. There'll be a lot of pushback, but will it move to anything at the ballot box? The biggest problem that we've got is the education system is woeful. It's just absolutely woeful. People say politics isn't the economy. Fucking bullshit. Politics is the economy, right? So the people that we want in politics are not engaged in politics because they don't want to be in the shitstorm. BRICS now has 40% of the world's population and 40% of the world's GDP. But on one of the numbers that's not highly highly publicized is they control about 70% of the world's processing power of minerals, oil refineries, gas compression plants, chemical manufacturing, heavy industry, right? The BRICS nations control the manufacturing of the world. Do we want to heavily align with the US and probably go down with a sinking ship and then have to rebuild and beg and steal and become part of BRICS? Trade is good when you have a lot of free and open trade between nations. What actually cemented the rise of BRICS was the sanctions on Russia. So banks will, pretty much all the major banks in the US and Europe are issuing US dollar stable coins of their own. So one of the things that I'll see is, say, for instance, you go to Chase Manhattan, you'll put your money into Chase Manhattan, but what will be sitting in your bank account will be the Chase Manhattan stablecoin. There'll be Australian stablecoins. I expect the four largest banks here in Australia to issue stablecoin shortly. That change tells me that the government expects a war. And Europe is heading the same way. The world is going to change very quickly, and it's going to change at a rate most of us won't be ready to catch up with.